just press go on the old phone there on the tripod, Johnny's tripod. A quick video. It's about 11 AM. And we've got the old radio out, and there's a lot of stuff in social media saying that at the moment solar activity, which is making all those lovely, beautiful northern lights we see in the sky. So all the solar activity will kill radio communications. So it'll kill the communications of the police, the ambulance, the railways, the music we hear, your mobile phone. There is more solar activity than usual, so everyone's kind of looking at how it does affect magnetic fields, because what do you call it, radio spectrum is affected by magnetic fields. So they are looking at it and seeing how dramatic it is. But this does generally happen all the time. But at the moment, there's a lot of activity, so people are quite interested in how much it will affect the band. There's still a lot more activity to come, so things might change in the next week or so. But what I'm going to do is, on this old radio, I'm going to show you the broadcast bands, the bands that we kind of know. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop right at the bottom, the old AM frequencies that where radio was champions, which basically broadcasters are pulling out of now. Now they're quite interesting because they show you how much solar activity can affect bands. Radio enthusiasts and broadcasters are always looking out for solar flares off the sun to see how the bands are going to be affected that day, and there's a report every day, and there's a hell of a lot of it. So I'm going to show you the old radio. Got a bit of wind. I hope that's not too much on the audio. So we're going to start long wave. So I'll flick it down here. So the only thing that's on long wave now, and apparently it's going to be pulled off next year, is Radio 4. So I've got a good aerial in it. So have a look.
Maybe I should get some therapy and find out. It's like they're sort of
you want them to be there.
monuments to pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's there, nice and loud. It won't be affected as much from solar activities as some other bands because it's very attracted to the ground. So the signal might not get a bit weaker, so you might not hear it abroad, which you usually would do. But in the UK, that's 500,000 watts. Even though there's a rumour they've now turned it down to 250,000 watts to save a bit of electric and that, etc., etc. But I've not noticed any different. Maybe that's just a rumour. You gotta watch this YouTube rumour stuff, but that won't be affected as much.
Things to tinker with.
It might just get less. The signal might be a little bit weaker than it usually is as we go on, but I don't think it'll be affected that much. So, but what will happen if we're basically in May now, but in the winter when the solar activity is not as dramatic, if I twiddle around now, all I'm getting is Radio 4 long wave. You would get things from abroad, like Athlone and stuff like that. But we won't get anything in the moment.
I wouldn't be able to wrestle the light.
Little noise there, beeping noise. I don't know what that is. Maybe someone does. Get it this way. Something's interfering with it down there. It don't like down there. But yeah, there's nothing else but the big Radio 4 transmitter. It's usually in the winter you'd hear other things. Let's go to the old medium wave. Everyone knows medium wave. You used to listen to all your favourite stations on there. Radio Luxembourg, Radio Caroline, mentioned it again, sorry. Laser 558, the whole lot. Radio 1. So we start at the bottom. Let's see how effective it is today. Now, medium wave, generally they use medium wave broadcasters, or we did do, because it's got a good ground wave, light long wave, but it can be effective. It can be effective by the skywave. It's when signals jump up there and then jump back down at night. Not as dramatic as shortwave, but it can be. So let's see. Last year, it was sunny all April. By June, medium wave was really struggling, and I was in Central Lakes and I was struggling for signals, very much indeed. So let's see what it's like. I'm in Lancashire, not the Central Lakes, so a bit near the sea, so the radio's got a bit more air to breathe in. Because radio is like space, and like water as well. Let's have a look. Got a tuning thing here. That's Spanx Radio coming in alright. It usually comes in about that strength anyway. And we'll get to there's not much left on medium wave now.
From the managers
Talk,
and coach.
that's Talk Sport.
Quite protected.
That's an Asian station. Is it Asian Sound? I can't remember its name. I think it's from Manchester where we'll just about get it here.
But you look at some of the games that we've had. You just
Live, and we'll get down here. We'll get Radio Cumbria. So yeah, that's Midway's not really getting effective. When we first moved here in 2000, we used to get Radio Wales in the day absolutely blasting, but they've turned their transmitters down, I think, from 100,000 watts to 100,000 watts to 12 kilowatts, someone said. So to get Radio Wales now, we have to wait for it to use the skywave a little bit. We get it at night, but not in the day, but we used to get it blasted in the day. Now here's the interesting one. Shortwave generally is more attractive to what goes on up there than down on the ground wave. So it gets affected massively. Now we are at 11 o'clock, nearly in the summer. We're getting to June. So in the day, generally the bottom end of shortwave, 6 megacycles, is not very active at this time of year anyway. But I reckon if it was like yesterday, it'll be as dead as a doornail. Because I waited till 6:30 to see if some of my favourite radio stations came in at night, and they were really struggling at even at 6:30, 7 to get through. So let's have a look. So we go. So there you go. I can hear a utility there. Tune it in. But yeah, you go through 6 megacycles. It's really quiet. There's not even any interference in it. It's not picking anything up. Bit of a utility there. 7 megacycles dead. I'm getting a bit. Yeah, still dead. Now as we get into the top end of shortwave, it's getting a bit better. The skywave works a bit differently at the top end of shortwave. As we say, 6 megacycles basically. It's predominantly using the skywave really to travel its ground wave it's just not usable. And usually it covers like the area of about the size of Europe. That's why a lot of the Dutch, the English, the Germans use 6 magnetic cycles, because they can get a reasonable signal all over Europe. It's like you need a lot of power to broadcast on medium wave, but on shortwave you can use a lot more little power and get a kind of similar coverage. That's why people like using it. But when you get to the top end, the skywave doesn't travel like that, and the signal doesn't travel like that. That's what creates, if you ever heard a signal fade up and down, distort. That's what's creating that line of travel altering. When you get to the top, it's going like that, and then landing back down somewhere else. So in the middle, it can miss out the transmission can absolutely disappear for kilometers, 90 kilometers, 100 kilometers, even more, especially get to the top of the band, and it can land somewhere else. Like for years and years, BBC World Service has used it because they can broadcast from the UK and transmit into Africa. So if there's a country that's going through a bit of strife and they want to tell people where the safest place to go is because there's an army coming this way, or or fighting factions in coming their way, they can say you better go in that way, and they can actually broadcast without satellite, without wires, by using the top of shortwave. So it has got its uses. So when we get to the top, you'll see there's probably more. It's not being affected as much. There's probably more stuff up here, I think.
Et conserve des chances de qualification à la Coupe du Monde 2025. Voici les sujets de la
Yeah, don't know what.
de s'achever. Davantage dans un aperçu proposé par Bogdan Moitié.
Is that French?
إلى الجزائر حيث أكدت افتتاحية وزير
What's that?
Mexican area, but we do not know whether to go to Morocco because there is already a large number of people that have been displaced. I don't think it would be a safe area because the Israeli army does not have a safe area in Gaza. They target everything.
Yeah, so it's not too bad up there. It was worse yesterday actually, so it's improving today. So hopefully we'll get some stuff in the afternoon. But there's a little bit of explanation how the northern lights or the magnetic fields actually affect radio. It can affect how it reacts to signals. Stuff that you use every day, if you listen to FM and DAB, it probably won't be affected that much. The signal might be slightly weaker, and it might have this effect, and this does happen in the summer. Sometimes it has a switch. So I've listened to FM where all the UK stations disappear and it switches over to a different country. So for 30 seconds, I think once I was sat there and it switched and everything was Spanish, and that lasted for about 30 seconds and then it swaps back. Sometimes you can hear them in the background in summer anyway. If you're on a frequency where there isn't a strong radio station, you can hear them in the background. But it might have one of those flicks. They're quite interesting if you actually catch them. And your mobile phones, they're like slightly higher frequencies as well. I think what might happen is if you've got a weak signal, if you're in a weak signal area, you're kind of used to the summer affecting your signal. So if you've got a weak signal in the summer, the signal gets even weaker. Some people go, damn it, it's because there's too many people in the Central Lakes. It's not. Sometimes it's because the band sorry, totally got lost there. The band, what you call it, that the mobile phones are working on is not as receptive, so the weaker signals kind of just don't get through. So you'll probably have a little bit of that. So if you hear all the fear mongering and everything's going to stop, I doubt that's going to happen, but maybe I'm wrong. Elon Musk says he's at Starlink's alright. He's had a bit of interference, but nothing too serious. So I'm sure you can follow him on X and he'll be posting his pictures, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just thought I'd give you a little explanation. If you're a big radio buff, you can take this apart and say, you've missed this, you missed that, you missed the other. I've explained it correct in a way. I've tried to make it simple for people that don't know about radio. So if there's stuff that you want to add it down in the comments below. Be really grateful. I'm no expert on this. I just like my old radio. So yeah, I'm quite happy if you make comments underneath if some of the stuff I've put on you think is wrong. Okay, right. I think I'm off to town. It's a nice day today. See you soon, guys. Hey!